Go to MarylandGaming.net right now for all the latest news and information on local casinos, horse racing, and the lottery. That's MarylandGaming.net, powered by PressBox. And welcome back to Inside PressBox. The Ravens take the field this week against America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Joining me now to talk about it is a familiar face on Inside PressBox. He's our friend Matt Zenitz, now the Ravens beat writer for the Carroll County Times. And Matt, thanks for coming in. Always a pleasure to see you. And I don't know if on this program we've congratulated you yet, but for taking over for Aaron Wilson over there. That's great. At Carroll County Times, we wish you the best of luck over there. I appreciate that. You were in Kansas City this past weekend. Cowboys coming up. Let's talk about this little ugliness there amongst the faithful in Kansas City. And it teaches you what about playing on the road when the team turns against their own team? The fans turn against their own.
The only thing that stuck out to me in terms of that is obviously you hear about the noise at Arrowhead and how difficult that makes it for opposing teams. I thought it was more difficult for the Chiefs. After every single mistake, after every single offensive mistake in particular, since most of them came from Matt Castle, the crowd let them hear it, and I think that took away from what could have been a potentially difficult experience, even more so for the Ravens.
Last Sunday, Bill Cowher on CBS TV before the game, he said, tell us something we don't know, or it was a segment. And he said, Kansas City Chiefs, this is before the Ravens game, will make the playoffs. He clearly thought maybe they had put those turnovers behind them. What causes a team to get – it's got to be more mental than anything else at that point.
I don't know what
do they
it
have,
is.
over 20 turnovers?
I think they have 19 total now, and 14 of them have come from Matt Castle. And as ridiculous as it may sound from Bill Cowher to say that they could be a playoff team still, I don't disagree, or I didn't disagree, I should say. Obviously, it's more difficult now at 1-4, but that was a team coming into the season that I thought had a legitimate chance to win the AFC West. Obviously had two players that were out for last season that were catalysts on both sides of the ball, and getting both of them back, Jamal Charles at running back and Eric Berry at safety, I thought they had all the makings of a playoff team. And I know it seems ridiculous now, but that was a team that going into that matchup against the Ravens, I thought posed more of a challenge than people realized. Obviously, the defense has talent. Jamal Charles talented at running back, just can't overcome the turnovers.
And they did cover the spread. I mean, it was what
was the spread?
6.5. The Ravens were 6.5-point favorite. But I had you on to talk more about the Ravens. Tell me what is going on offensively with this team. Is Kansas City that good defensively, or are we just somehow sputtering?
I mean, that was a step back. And Kansas City, regardless of how good their defense is, that was a noticeable step back for every part of the offense with the exception of running back. Obviously, Ray Royce still had a decent game, but Joe Flacco hurt some by some drops. The offensive line struggled against Justin Houston and Tamba Hali, but he was out of rhythm, out of sync. The receivers, like I said, struggled with drops, struggled against the Chiefs' physical press man coverage, similar to how they struggled against Philadelphia. That's a problem going forward, just them getting open against that physical man defense. And then the offensive line, Kelechi Osemele, for as well as he played early on, struggled against Justin Houston. And then Michael Warr, I know, has been questioned in the past at left tackle, struggled against Tamba Hali.
Well, here's my assessment that that's the biggest difference from last year, is that Bryant McKinney has been most of the time on the bench, and he's trying to go without him. Will he have to go back to McKinney at left guard?
I don't think so.
Left tackle.
No, I don't think so. I think Kelechi Osemele has played well for the most part, and I think will only continue to get better. I think Orr's been serviceable at left tackle. This is the best he's looked at left tackle, and Bryant McKinney is completely one-dimensional. I think he's still maybe the best pass blocker on the team, but offers little to nothing at all as a run blocker, gives no effort whatsoever in the run game, and I think that played a large part in him not starting to begin the season and still not being in there now.
Tell me this, on the defensive side of the ball, when do you think Terrell Suggs will be back playing, and when will he be a factor once he plays?
He'll be back at some point around week 9, and that's not a difficult prediction to make considering he has to be active by week 9, otherwise the Ravens have to put him on injured reserve. But I do think something very true that Aaron Wilson, was that even if the Ravens do activate him by week 9, he doesn't necessarily need to play week 9. So it could be week 9, it could be week 10, it could be week 11, but he does need to be active by week 9, or he will be forced to be put on injured reserve. But one thing, just make sure you temper expectations. That's something John Harbaugh's talked about before. Terrell Suggs coming off of this surgery, there will be a transition period. He won't right away be the Terrell Suggs of last year.
Understood.
So temper those expectations a little bit. But one thing I can say, regardless whether he's 60%, whether he's 70%, whether he's 80%, any Terrell Suggs will help a Ravens pass rush that has desperately missed him through the early part of the season.
All right, we've got less than a minute to go. I was going to ask you some questions about the defense. Just give me, now that they're 4-1 through 5 games, what will their record be after the next 5 games?
The next couple of games will be very telling.
Dallas, Houston.
Dallas has struggled with turnovers as well. Tony Romo had the 5 interceptions last week, but a very talented defense. That'll be a good indication. And then Houston the week after, still, even without Brian Cushing, who will be out for the season now, still probably the best team in the AFC. That'll give a further very nice indication of just how good the Ravens
are. They have a good chance to be 7-3 after 10 games, you think?
If they are, they're in very good shape.
All right. Matt Zenitz, continued good luck at the Carroll County Times. You can read them there at carrollcountytimes.com. We're going to wrap things up with our photo of the week, and that comes up after this break, so don't go away. Inside PressBox is presented by Friedmont Mortgage. Don't make a 30-year mistake by choosing the wrong lender. Go to Friedmont.com now for all of your mortgage needs.